Hey guys, welcome back to Fantasy Endgame. Here to draft as we do. We've been doing this all off season long. We're not stopping now. It's going to continue on because it is almost actually real draft season, or at the very least, we're thinking about talking about drafting because training camp is underway. And of course, all the hype and all the rumors and the buzz and the, I don't know, exaggerations, all that is
Yeah.
happening. And of course, the early injuries. I mean, we'll get to those, but right now it's time to draft. Before we get to it, and we're going to drop the link down there so you can join us, maybe draft with us. We do have a couple of spots left. That's because the vast majority are already full, taken by our amazing members. We've had such a strong, great community for the last couple years. We appreciate, but you want to get in the draft with us, just like they have. It's because you join the flock, flockfantasy.com/endgame. If you haven't already, it's a good time to do that because you can get in these mocks with us. You can pick your spot early. Also, you get access to a lot more things you can see on their rankings, which already are up, our preseason rankings, draft rankings. And then in season, we'll have our weekly rankings. Got some bonus videos and articles. We've each written up a couple things lately. And if you're into Dynasty, even though our Dynasty leagues are full, you can still check out the Dynasty Domination course. And we're going to do one for redraft as well. So there's all sorts of stuff on there. So here it is. Time to get busy. We've got a lot of our usual suspects in here. What's up, Tyler? It's been a little while. I think we've seen you lately. Yeah,
What's
another
up,
winning
Tyler?
season for sure. Definitely do that. All right. Yeah, this one, of course, Clayton's in here. Unacceptable. That's on me. It's not Chris. Chris is never late. I'm always late. You already know if something's running late, it's me. So I'll take my punishment. I'm okay with it.
All right.
Although I don't know, this is some strong words, some fighting words from Nate that you sort of vaguely said something positive about MT. I don't know. I don't remember that.
I don't even remember, think I vaguely said anything about MT. Honestly, he's not a guy even talking about. It's like, yeah,
Yeah,
moved on long ago.
I don't remember that, but anyways, although I will say I tried trolling on the Discord today because the Baltimore Ravens cut
Yes.
wide receiver Michael Thomas, who usually goes by Mike Thomas, except when a reporter wants to put news out about him, then they have to put Michael Thomas, and so it's like Michael Thomas was released, and then nobody fell for it. But anyways, all right. So here we go. We got two spots, the 7 and the 8. No surprise, nobody wants the middle. But here we go. If you do want to get in and draft with us, here's your chance now.
Yeah. This. Good luck. All right, there they are. NMB got in, nice, and Cool Ranch Doritos.
All right. Not the original, but some might say the superior Dorito. Not me, but
not me either. Although all Doritos are terrible. Before we get into a Dorito discussion, let's draft.
all right. Here we go.
That Kid King
And
on the clock.
Justin Jefferson, number 1.
By the way, 1 QB, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 1 tight end, 1 flex, full PPR.
Okay, only 2 receivers. Good to know. We've been going back to that because I guess a lot of people just play that format.
Yes.
All right, so yeah, we do have one here. Stinger does think Cool Ranch is the superior Dorito.
I feel like Doritos, like when I was young and my taste buds were terrible, I thought Doritos were great. But then you grow up, you get older, and you experience all different types of chips, and you realize Doritos are terrible. There's just way better chips out there than Doritos.
It's a tough one for me. I can't say I don't still like Doritos, but yeah, it's not like because it's just like the best. It's just something about it. I don't know. They put something in it. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it's that fake cheese. It's that like fake cheese sprinkled with crack cocaine to make you addicted.
Yeah, they got some powder. Yeah, oh, I'm up already. Exactly. Okay. No Bijan for me.
This is why you gotta like. This is why you gotta like the endgame mock drafts. You come for the endgame mock draft and you get a discussion about Doritos.
Exactly.
Only in the endgame mocks.
And we just started. Hold on. All right. I'll go
This is
Lamb.
actually this. I want to bring this up from Keith because, man, when I was a kid, I loved Gushers. Oh my gosh, I thought they were the best. I always made my mom get Gushers at the store. Now, I don't think. Oh, the thought of gushers is just disgusting. But man, as a kid, I loved them.
Yeah, fruit roll-ups. That's what I always had in the lunchbox. The fruit roll-up. My girls, they love gushers. They still get them, and they're teenagers, but they still like the gushers. I get it. It's one of those
No,
things you can
I
outgrow.
still loved them as a teenager. It was like as you become an adult, it's like your taste buds. It's like you mature, and so do your taste buds. It's weird.
All right, now Stinger, this is the winning answer right here. Yes, jalapeno kettle chips. Yes, they're like Lay's brand, but they're the kettle chips, right? The real crispy ones, which are always good. But the jalapeno ones, you got it. You nailed it, Stinger. That's the 1.1 of potato chips.
All right, this is an interesting draft so far. I'm up in 2 picks. I think there's two guys here. I'm like for sure taking one of them, and it depends what NMB does here. It's gonna determine what I do.
So the Cool Ranch Doritos went with Stephon Diggs to match the blue. All right, so
Yeah.
I briefly entertained a running back in this format, but I said, no, I'm good with CeeDee Lamb. I still consider him, elite wide receiver. Give me a huge advantage, so I'm good there. I give myself the 6th spot here, so I'm going to hate my team no matter what by the time it's all said and done. All right, you're at the 9, so here we go. Is that the guy?
Yeah.
Probably one of the guys you were going to get.
That was one of the guys, was Kelsey. So that makes my decision easy. I will gladly take CMC at the 9.
For a second, I thought CMC at the 6, but I don't have him above Lamb. I'm not going to switch it up just because it's only 2 receivers, because it is still full PPR. I'm okay waiting on running back. I think I'll be okay.
Yeah, normally Chris McCaffrey is not falling this far. So sometimes you got to just take the value when it's there.
Okay, so I just really want to throw this out there, and we'll be done with this debate. I'm with you on that. The Bugles is just something. It's not the flavor; it's just the texture. All right,
Yeah,
but we have to talk about Saquon. Saquon now a first rounder. Are we going to see him firmly in the first round in this type of format? Because he's signed. I mean, not that he wasn't not signed, but I guess he sort of is not holding out anymore.
Yeah, I still can't. I don't know if I could take him in the first round. Still, I still have some minor concerns for him, like coming off a huge touch season. We did see his efficiency kind of drop as the season went on, because they were running them into the ground. But you got to at least now we know he's going to play this year. The funny thing is, it's like I don't want to play under the $10.1 million franchise tag. That's but okay, you want to sign me to a 1-year, $11 million deal? Okay, I'll play. Like what? Okay, all right.
He caved. I mean, I don't know if he had much. That's the thing. He really didn't have any leverage. Like, what are you going to do? Okay, well, I guess I'll not play, and that'll show them. That'll really make them want to pay me. Like, that's not going to help. There was nothing. All right. I didn't think Olave would fall to me.
Yeah, I mean, CMC Garrett Wilson, that might be the best start.
That's a start
we've ever seen.
That's a start. Well, I'll just say that, like, I'm high on Barkley, but I don't think I ever did at any point have him as a first rounder this year in draft rankings. I have Jonathan Taylor ahead of him. I still have Jonathan Taylor ahead of him. Although now we hear that he's on the pup list. I don't know what that's about.
Well, remember he did have ankle surgery. So it could be related to that, but it also could be because we saw this with J.K. Dobbins. If the player is in the last year of their deal and you put them on pup and they don't play, I think it's by like week 6, then essentially their deal lapses till next year. So he'd be on the last year of his deal again next year. So it's kind of insurance for the team, like, because Jonathan Taylor's talking, all the running backs now are like, give us an extension. We don't want to like a franchise tag, which I totally get. So I think it's kind of like insurance for the Colts. Like, hey, if we put you on pup and you decide to hold out because we don't work out a deal and you don't come back by week 6, then next year you're in the same boat all over again. So, I mean, it could be related to the ankle as well, but I haven't really heard anything where like it should be an issue. Like apparently he was at camp today, or he was at the facilities today. So I don't know. I think these teams are just being proactive and being like, hey, we want to make sure these guys play.
Yeah, some insurance. I mean, we're going to see all these running backs running for their lives this year because they all know they need to get their money up front now, here and now, right? Playing for these long-term contracts is not going to work out for them. So it'll be interesting. It'll be very interesting. But yeah, Barkley, I still feel early, mid, second round is okay, but I don't have him as a first rounder. And again, not because of him personally, not because of contract situation or anything like that. It's just because Giants offense, doesn't get me riled up.
Yeah, I think he'll be fine. Like, he'll be good. He'll be a top 5 to 7 running back, but
we'll go DK Metcalf second round.
Trying
to, yeah. And yeah, same thing. I wouldn't have had DK Metcalf as a second rounder even before they drafted JSN.
Yeah. It's hard to see DK Metcalf. I mean, he wasn't even worth a second round pick last year. And that was without JSN, and that was with Geno Smith playing easily the best football of his life. Easily the best football of his life. Now, maybe Geno Smith does it again this year. I'm not going to sit here and say like he won't. Maybe he does. But but in order for DK Metcalf to be worth a second rounder, Geno Smith has to play the best football of his life again, and JSN has to have like a very minimal role, or Tyler Lockett has to get hurt and have like one of those guys, either injury or whatever, has to have a very minimal role in the offense. Otherwise, I just don't see how DK Metcalf is going to get the target share necessary to be worth a second round pick.
Yeah, I mean, Seattle's offense on paper should be really good as long as Geno Smith is just efficient. Like, he doesn't have to be amazing. Just don't turn the ball over, right? Be efficient. I mean, there's so many weapons now in the running game too. But again, there's only so much to go around, right? There's only so many touches. All right, let's see. What do we got here? Check the chat. I haven't checked the chat. All right. Do we take the Bijan bait?
I just saw it.
Okay, how about this stinger with a interesting take? And I don't know if I totally disagree. He's saying would not take Amon-Ra over the first 11 players. Amon-Ra was at the 2-3 in this draft.
Well, I don't know if you saw. Hold on, let me make this. Go ahead.
And that's because he's responding to this, saying the Sun God is a top 7 pick. I love the Sun God. We all worship him. I mean, he's a stud, and we saw the hype today, right? We saw he didn't drop a single one on the jugs machine after the first
201 straight on the jugs machine. Who else can do that? Who else could possibly? What other NFL wide receiver could ever possibly do that?
Yeah, I mean, that's future Hall of Fame stuff. But anyways, I love him, but I don't think I'd put him top 7 because I could see him as productive or more than Diggs or AJ Brown, but I'm not going to take him over AJ Brown or Diggs just yet. Or Garrett Wilson.
Yeah. I think when you get to those guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jalen Waddle, Garrett Wilson, Adams, Olave, you could make an argument for almost any of them to far exceed their ADP, or maybe not even exceed their ADP. So yeah, but I like you said, I can't. We know those first 4 wide receivers are absolute studs. I don't understand why most people don't just consider CeeDee Lamb with those guys. He was incredible last year. He won people fantasy championships in the playoffs. All 3 games in the fantasy playoffs, he was an absolute stud. Diggs is kind of considered one of those guys. To me, you can't have him over those guys. Could he outscore one of those guys or 2 of those guys this year? Of course, it's fantasy football. It could happen, but you can't. You can't have him over those guys, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, look, it wouldn't surprise me if you say, oh, he's going to finish as a top 7 wide receiver or even player in fantasy. That's not outrageous. I'd say I can see that, but I'm still not drafting him as a top 7 receiver because I think I still feel a little bit better about AJ Brown, doing that or Diggs. You know what you're getting. But anyways, and then Matthew, I guess we should answer his Bijan question because he gave us a nice compliment here. Great advice. Thank you. Appreciate that. I remember you from last year too. So let's go back to the first round here. All right, Chris. I feel like this is your thing. The fact that he's a rookie. Yeah, okay. They have a great offensive line. He's going to get a ton of touches. So what? The only reason we're not taking him is because he's a rookie?
Yeah, if that's your only argument against him, then I'm sorry, because you can go back to 2018 and a guy who we all still love by the name of Saquon Barkley. Oh, man. Snipe me on the mark, Keith.
Yeah, rookie running backs tend to be good. In fact, I'd much rather have a guy like Bijan, who is a rookie, that isn't like Christian McCaffrey, who's had serious injuries and multiple injuries and a ton of touches and older. I think being a rookie is a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, again, Saquon Barkley in 2018 was the RB1 as a rookie. 2016, Zeke was the RB2 as a rookie. And we haven't seen a rookie running back with the kind of pedigree of Bijan Robinson since those guys. Maybe Christian McCaffrey, but you have to remember Christian McCaffrey was 200 pounds when he came into the NFL. He wasn't going to be a workhorse right away. He just wasn't, and he wasn't that year. They had Jonathan Stewart. Bijan Robinson does everything. And like you said, he's behind a great offensive line. He's going to get a ton of touches. And he's phenomenal. That's literally that's all the boxes you should worry about. He's a generational talent behind one of the best offensive lines in the football, and he's going to get a zillion touches. It shouldn't matter what year he is in. That should not matter. When you check those 3 boxes, the year you're in shouldn't matter unless it's like the guy he's 31 years old and has 3,000 touches on him, like that. But outside of that, it shouldn't matter what year he is in. That will not matter at all. We've seen many running backs, like you said, even last year. Look at how good Kenneth Walker was, and he didn't even really start playing until week 5. Look at how good Tyler Algier was, and he didn't even really ever take over the backfield truly. I mean, he was barely playing over half the snaps. Look at how good Dameon Pierce was before he got hurt. Now, obviously, those guys weren't like the number 1 scoring running back, but they're nowhere near as good as Bijan, and they're not in as good a situation as Bijan is. So, I mean, look, maybe he won't finish as the number 1 running back. It's hard to sit here and like predict who the number 1 running back is going to be every year. That's a very hard thing to predict. But like Pierre said, you got Christian McCaffrey, who has a ton of wear and tear. Prior to last season, he had only played 10 games 2 straight years, and now he just had a ton of touches. And I do worry that, like we saw last year in games with Elijah Mitchell, Christian McCaffrey was not a workhorse in those games. Now, I know people say, well, Elijah Mitchell will get hurt. Okay, sure. But you might have 6 or 7 games of not workhorse Christian McCaffrey when Elijah Mitchell is healthy or more. Austin Eckler definitely has a case. But again, he's up there in touches. He's up there in age. There's risk there. I mean, obviously, there's risk with anybody. We saw Breece Hall last year. There's ACL. I think Jonathan Taylor is another guy I think could potentially be back as the RB1 because this is the guy in his prime. That offense is going to just run the ball ridiculous amount. He's due for touchdown regression. He's an incredible talent. He's another guy I could see potentially being the RB1. But for me, Bijan, like once Atlanta drafted him, it wasn't like I had Bijan the RB1 before he was drafted. It wasn't until Atlanta drafted him with the number 8 pick that I was like, okay, that's it. He's the number 1.
Right. Yeah, situation matters, but then again, in this case, it's a good situation for him. That's like also a good segue. You mentioned JT. So Ryan's saying, wanted Barkley there at the top 12 or no other top 10 running back will come back to me.
That
I
is
mean, look,
fair.
taking a running back like him, that's not really it. Like, I don't mind it. I'm just, I would have taken JT over Barkley, and there's your top 10 RB. But it's, preference, I guess.
Yeah, it's preference.
All right, let's see how things are shaking out. We got a third tight end off the board, Hawkinson.
Yeah, I usually don't go tight end this early, but I felt like Andrews in the 4th round was good value there. And in this format where you're only starting 2 running backs and 2 wide receivers and a flex.
Well, yeah, you can afford to go tight end a little earlier because there's only 2 receivers. Also, man, everything we're hearing out of Baltimore should make you feel pretty good about Mark Andrews.
Yeah.
Bateman, like, who knows what's up with him? And then Odell Beckham's already thinking about retirement, like, before the season starts. Like, I don't know. I think Mark Andrews is fine. I think he's just fine. It also makes me feel good about my prediction of Zay Flowers being the top rookie receiver.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, I feel like by the second half of the season, it's just going to be Zay Flowers and Mark Andrews catching all the passes. Odell will be hurt. Bateman, I'm sure, will be hurt. Isn't he already on PUP? Didn't they start the season on PUP? Hasn't he started on PUP?
I think they put him on PUP. He wasn't there. Now he's there, but who knows? Man,
Yeah.
He's still recovering, I think, from his surgery last year. It's not a good thing. It's a foot injury.
Yeah. Watch.
Yeah.
By mid season, it's just going to be Zay Flowers and Mark Andrews catching all the passes.
Yeah. Not a good start. All right, Clayton, get to it. All right, trying to take my guy. It's all right, because I have another guy. Oh, wait a minute. You got taken too? What the heck? Pierce and Akers, both gone.
Definitely have been seeing running backs going earlier and earlier the closer we get to the real deal here.
And
People,
I want to wait, but I still have a guy like I know he's going to be gone if I don't take him here. So
yeah, Swift.
Yeah, and Clayton trying to not only snipe me but also throwing shade here. Okay, he said he can't get behind the C Watson pick in the 3rd round, mid-3rd. Again, I was between him. I like London, DJ Moore, Debo. They're all kind of in the mix there. So, like, some drafts, I'll take a shot on Watson. In this case, only 2 receivers and a flex. I'll throw him out there. Some drafts, I'll go DJ Moore because I just feel a little bit better about him. So, I don't think he's like a absolute sure thing, but I think I'll take a chance on the upside.
Yeah, I don't mind if you don't like Christian Watson there. I think that's, like you said, we're in this range where there's many guys, you could go many directions. But I don't understand people just automatically assuming that the Packers are going to be run heavy just because Aaron Rodgers is gone. I don't think they're going to be any more run heavy. Like I just don't. I don't think that's their MO. I don't think it had as much to do with Aaron Rodgers as the coach. So I don't know. I'm not going to just assume that they're going to be, more run heavy because he's gone. But I mean, it's fine if you're like not a fan of Watson in that spot.
I mean, if you think that last year that they're going to run the ball significantly more, this basically you're saying you think Jordan Love is trash, right? Like they don't have any confidence in him. They're going to have to try to protect him. Right? They're going to not pass unless they really need to. You know what I mean? That's like, I don't feel that way. I mean, he's not the next Aaron Rodgers necessarily, but I think he'll be fine. Green Bay actually wasn't a pass-heavy offense last year, 18th in pass attempts per game. It's not like they were slinging the ball around, and all of a sudden, back in the day, Aaron Rodgers' heyday, but that's not that kind of offense anymore. They ran the ball. They were kind of a balanced team. Basically, their offense was balanced. And you know what? I think they're going to be balanced this year too. And Watson, if he was a guy I thought needed that volume, I would worry. That's not what Christian Watson is. Christian Watson is – like I don't I don't want to say maybe like Tyreek Hill light, or maybe he might be just as fast as Tyreek Hill, but I don't mean he's as good as Tyreek Hill. But I mean, that's what he is. He can take it to the house. He doesn't need to get peppered with targets. Like Amon-Ra St. Brown needs that. Amon-Ra St. Brown is not going to catch the ball, juke a corner out of his shoes and then take it 80 yards.
Right.
That's not what his thing is. I'm not saying he's not fast, but it's just a
No.
different type of player. So Watson, I think, will be totally fine on this type of offense. Now, if you don't want that type of player as your starter, like if you don't want the volatility, that's fine.
Totally fine. And I'm not arguing with any of his arguments against Watson. I'm just arguing with like so many people are just assuming that they're going to be run heavy because Aaron Rodgers is gone, and I don't think that's the case. They may be run heavy, but I don't think we can just sit here and say, oh, well, Aaron Rodgers is gone, they're going to be run heavy now. Man, there's some great wide receiver value right now. There's some fantastic wide receivers still on the board, and then running backs still get picked.
Yeah, I saw Kirk, and there's one other guy that probably will get taken right before me by Mr. Dorito, but we'll see. And there he goes. Sure enough. All right. Yeah, so I'm gonna wait. Now I might as well wait on tight end, and I might as well wait on QB. So back to the well. I was really hoping Kirk or Big Mike would make it to me, but I guess not.
I mean, I wasn't planning on going wide receiver there, but man, I mean, Christian Kirk is my wide receiver 4. It's fantastic.
And you know what? Just because it's a 2 receiver, 1 flex league doesn't mean that you have to get 2 running backs early. It's okay to go anchor. It's okay to go 0 RB even.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with having 4 really good wide receivers, because if one gets hurt, your team doesn't really miss a beat, especially during. And I think one thing people don't think enough about is like during bye weeks. So if you have, let's say in this format, you have 4 stud wide receivers. When one of your wide receivers is on a bye, you don't sweat it because you got the stud. You just throw your stud in, while everybody else is like, "Oh my gosh, my best player's on a bye this week. I'm going to lose." You're like, "Yeah, my best player's on a bye, but it's okay because I have this other really good guy." So I think when I wouldn't normally go 4 wide receivers like this, but man, when there's really good ones that I like still on the board, I'm going to take them. I'll just wait on RB2. I will gladly wait on RB2.
Yeah, if there's a position to wait on besides tight end, it's RB2. I know if you get Kelsey or Andrews in a good spot early, fine, but otherwise, no. Or even Pitts. Like if Pitts was available, I would have grabbed him right there. So Deontay Johnson, who I got, he's like the anti-Christian Watson, right?
Yeah.
Scoring touchdowns. He does need the volume, but he'll get the volume because everything that's thrown his way, he'll catch it. But he's very different. So now I get to pick and choose, right? Do I want to play it safe this week, or do I want to go shoot for the moon? All right. You love the injury prone tag. What about Mike Williams? I know that's probably why he got pushed. This is crazy, though. He went in this draft. I don't know that we've seen him go this late. 6'6" in the early part of the season. He was a 3rd rounder, and then he moved to the 4th round. I don't know why he's going this late now.
I don't either, because all signs are pointing to this being potentially his best year. He's pretty much like, this is he's at that age where most wide receivers, I shouldn't say most, but a lot of wide receivers have their best year. He has Kellen Moore now, who we know instead of this Joe Lombardi dink and dunk offense, it's going to be a more vertical offense, which is what he does. Maybe people are worried about Quentin Johnston, but I don't think Quentin Johnston is a type of receiver who's ready to come in day one and just have a massive snap share. I think he's a guy who's going to need the season to develop. So, I mean, yeah, I guess the only thing is the health, the injury. He's missed a lot of games, but look, I remember his teammate Keenan Allen, people wouldn't draft Keenan Allen because he always, like 2 years in a row, he kept getting hurt, and people were like, oh, he's injury prone. And then he didn't get hurt the next year, and then every year since he's been great. So, like, all it takes is for him to not get hurt this year, and you're probably going to wish you had drafted Mike Williams.
Exactly. I mean, but also injury prone. I mean, if you're talking about a guy who's missed a game here or there, 3 games this season, a couple of games, I'll take that over the guy who's missed a whole year because he tore his ACL, or a guy who's coming off an Achilles, who's had a major injury. Mike Williams has not been that guy who's had something majorly concerning. So this late, I think he's a steal. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. It was between him and Christian Kirk for me. It's kind of like sometimes I might go Williams, sometimes I might go Kirk, but I do really like Christian Kirk this year. I mean, I love that Jaguars offense. Obviously, I like the Chargers offense too. So, I mean.
And now in fact, I'm pretty sure you wouldn't have taken him, but the guy who went right before you took Christian Kirk, and Keith wants to know, because he's the one who took him, is Tyler Lockett. Feel like he's been defying Father Time. He definitely been consistently good. Just talked about the Seattle offense. I mean, it should be, as long as Geno Smith is, doesn't like turn back to a pumpkin, should be great. That offense should be great. But obviously there's a reason to worry about Lockett. Like, yeah, Quentin Johnston could affect Mike Williams a little bit because they might run similar routes and similar role. But I don't think Quentin Johnston's in line for a huge target share. I think we should be a little more worried about JSN in terms of target share, because he can play in the slot, and he might compete directly with Tyler Lockett for certain, targets. And Lockett is older than Mike Williams. So, thoughts overall?
I mean, I'll say I would 100 times out of 100 prefer to draft Lockett in the 6th or 7th round than DK in the 2nd or 3rd. But the same concerns I have for DK, I do have for Lockett, in the sense that unless JSN can't get on the field, which would be shocking, because he's a very good, polished, ready to go wide receiver. He's not like a Quentin Johnston who can do some things, but probably needs to improve in other areas if he's going to be, playing 80, 90% of the snaps. So again, you're asking for, this offense to support 3 wide receivers, basically. I think Lockett was still very good last year. I mean, he plays that role that I feel like you can, as a wide receiver, you can play that, like he plays that flanker slot role, which I feel like is less taxing physically, and you can play like it's a position that we see guys are still pretty good at, into their early 30s. So I'm not as too worried about the age. I'm just more worried, kind of the same thing as with DK, where like, can this offense support 3 good wide receivers? And I have my doubts, but I would much rather draft Tyler Lockett than DK Metcalf at their current cost.
Yeah, it's always about value, and yeah, I love DK, but I can't do it second. I'm not doing it 3rd round either.
No,
so.
Can't.
Yeah, I think Lockett, agree with everything there. I think Lockett's still fine. He could be getting slept on. If people keep passing to him because of JSN, then there's the point where he is a good value. So I think wide receiver 3 is pretty much his ceiling. If you're drafting him sooner than that, like before the 6th round, that's too early. But I think where you got him is perfectly fine. And look at your squad right now. You got Sun God, Godwin, and Lockett. So he's your flex in this format, because you went running back and quarterback early, and you got Zay Flowers to back him up. I mean, yeah, totally fine with that. Now, I would have taken Kirk or Mike Williams first, but I don't hate the pick. And as far as JSN, yeah, I don't think we have to worry about his pro readiness. If we've seen anything from Ohio State receivers,
he's ready.
Yeah, they're pretty much good to go.
Yeah, and that's going to be the thing here. Are they going to run more 3 wide receiver sets? And if they don't, who's gonna get hurt? I mean, DK probably feels the safest in terms of his snap share because he's the X receiver. Whereas, Lockett and JSN, like you said, they kind of overlap, flanker slot type of players. But I can't imagine the Seahawks drafted JSN as the number one wide receiver off the board if they weren't planning on going to more 3 wide receiver sets. Like, it just, like, why else would you, unless they're drafting them for like Lockett insurance or something, right? But yeah, I think we're going to see all 3 of them on the field a lot, and that's going to hurt because when you have 3 good wide receivers on the field, it hurts all their target shares. So
Yeah, unfortunately, and they don't have to be a pass-heavy offense because they got good running backs. It'll be good balance though. All right, that's a good question. Whoops, that's not the one. Spice wants to know, when should you consider drafting someone who's still a free agent like Dalvin Cook or Zeke Elliott? I'll throw in Lenny and Kareem Hunt in the mix too.
well, I can tell you right now, I'm not drafting Zeke. I'm not drafting Kareem Hunt. Maybe I'll draft Leonard Fournette if he lands somewhere halfway decent. But it would have to be like in the very late rounds. I still think Dalvin Cook is okay. Like, where I think where he went here is okay. I gotta still feel like look, the days of elite Dalvin Cook are over. But I gotta feel like wherever he signs, it's gonna be a team that either loses their running back and is desperate, or a team with like not a lot of good running backs. You know, like, I don't know, I can't think of a team off the top of my head, but maybe the Vikings, but he already left that team. But you know, so I think he'll be okay. Like, I think Dalvin Cook will be fine in this range, but none of them really excite me.
Yeah, I think the kind of knee-jerk response to that is never, like, you don't need to draft those guys because one of the guys we just talked about, well, actually, it's coming out soon, but running backs that we're just kind of avoiding, and yeah, one of them is on there for me for sure. I didn't even consider Zeke because I never considered drafting him in the first place. So
It doesn't
it's like
even
I don't
matter.
have to avoid him because he's not on my list, kind of thing. Lenny, I mean, we know he was just a plotter last year, and was it he didn't have a single run over 10 yards, I think, last year. He was like Tampa
Yeah,
Bay
no,
was like one of the few teams. He depended on the Tom Brady dump off. He caught a ton of passes. He scored some touchdowns, but that was just a lot about opportunity. You know, the rumor now is that he's going to go back to New England, right, and help them. You know, they'll break him out in the playoffs when they need him, and you know he
in the
can shadow
playoffs,
Mondre. Yeah,
you're not
playoff
making the
Lenny,
playoffs.
Lombardi Lenny. Come on,
You're not
that's
making
his
the playoffs in
thing.
the AFC. Come on.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess they'd have to make the playoffs too. All right, but you know, no, like I don't think you need to draft any of them because what's the path for them to really, really help you in fantasy?
Yeah,
It's not there.
the only
Give me a rookie.
yeah, or even like I think the only real path for Dalvin Cook is, again, like, let's just say, I don't know. Let me look at it. Let me look. I don't want to put any bad juju on anybody. All right, so I'll just say this, so it's not really putting bad juju on anybody, even though we would love it if Demir White got the starting role. But let's say Josh Jacobs, 2 weeks for training camp, says, "I'm not playing. I'm not. It's not happening." And the Raiders are like, "Okay, let's go sign Dalvin Cook." Okay, at least you know Dalvin Cook is going to be the lead back for the Raiders. He's not going to be Josh Jacobs 2.0. He's not even going to be Dalvin Cook from his prime, but he'll at least be like a serviceable running back, you know, week in and week out. He'll at least be serviceable. But yeah, like Zeke, I don't even care where he could sign. He could sign with the Chiefs, and people will lose their mind, and I would be like, I'm still not drafting Zeke. The guy is complete dust. Complete dust. Same with Kareem Hunt, and I was all over Kareem Hunt last year, but man, he was awful. He is dust. Leonard Fournette is dust. I'm not drafting those guys. Dalvin Cook is dusty, but I think NFL teams will still think he has a little juice left.
Here's a perfect example. Devon Shane. Taking him every time over Dalvin Cook or over any of those guys. Like, because at least there's a path for him to have a breakout season. I don't see it happening. I'm glad now. You know, because I was like everybody else in the Dolphins were talking about getting Dalvin Cook, and instead they drafted Shane in the third round. You know, at first I was like, yeah, the Dalvin Cook to Miami, that would be great. And now I'm like, no, I think I'm okay with Shane. I think it's fine. Cook is not terrible. He's not. I don't think he's dust, right? Like Zeke is dust. We already established that
Yes,
last year. I don't think
beyond.
Cook is dust, but I
He's
don't think
getting dusty.
he's getting there. Right? He's collecting a little bit here and there, and the shoulder and all that. And it's like, nah, just give me a young player who is just as fast, because Shane is just as fast as Dalvin Cook. We
He's
established.
fast. He's
Yeah,
fast.
probably faster now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're up. So Njoku over Muth. Yeah, you know what? I've been typically going Muth, and you're welcome, Cool Range Doritos, for the pick there. Now I already had Deontay Johnson. I'm looking for something a little different here. Njoku. I think it's close between those two. Like I might have Muth ranked like 6 or whatever it is at tight end, and Njoku like 7, but it's close.
Yeah, they're pretty close for me too. All right, Keith's about to drop a shocker. Javonte, well, he's not on PUP, which, okay, I don't understand them not putting Javonte on PUP, even if he's good enough to not be on PUP, because it's my understanding, and I could be wrong on this. I don't know all the ins and outs of every minute NFL rule, but it's my understanding if a player doesn't start on PUP and then you put him on IR, he's done for the season. Like before the season starts, I mean. So basically,
IR, yeah.
So like if they get to, like, let's say it's almost week 1 and they're like, hey, Javonte Williams isn't really running like we expected him to be running, which by the way, he's not going to be, because all he was doing in OTAs was running straight. His cutting was horrendous. Like he couldn't even cut, really. They have to keep him on the roster because they didn't put him on PUP. So he's going to stand there on the side, like wasting a roster spot. Like it doesn't even make sense to me not that they didn't put him on PUP, even if they think he'll be ready. Like, why not put him on PUP? Like, because people just hear like player X is on PUP and they're like, oh my God, he's on PUP, even though they can come off PUP at any time. Like literally tomorrow, the day they can come off PUP at any time. It's not like they have to be on PUP for 4 weeks or 6 weeks. They come off anytime. It's just crazy to me that they didn't put him on PUP, because if he's not ready week 1, they have to keep him on the roster. They have to waste a roster spot with him, because if they put him on IR before the season, now he's out for the whole season. He cannot play.
Yeah, just taking Javonte is playing with fire, right? Just be ready to be burned. Maybe he makes it through the season, he's healthy, and maybe he's.
But that's the thing. It's like
I'm not taking the chance.
It's like even if he he's active week 1, like they're like, yeah, we're putting him out week 1. We saw this with Saquon. We've seen this with Dalvin Cook. It doesn't mean he's 100%. It doesn't mean he's going to be any good. Like we saw this with Cam Akers and the Achilles. Everybody was so excited. Oh my gosh, he's back already. He wasn't very good. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't mean he's going to be any good. He's coming off a really major knee injury. We already know ACL is tough, and his is even tougher because it's other tendons and things. So even if people are going to lose their minds if he's active week 1, but it's like, nah, we're not going to see a good Javonte this year. It's like Dobbins last year. Okay, he was out there week 3 and, had like that one. He had that one first game. He scored 2 touchdowns. And everybody was like, oh my God, he's 100%. Never mind the fact that he wasn't very good. He just scored 2 touchdowns. And then he was terrible for 2 games. And then he had to have the scope on his knee. And then he was good at the very end of the season. But by then it was too late, right? It was too late. So, yeah. Even if somehow Javonte is out there week 1, which I guess he's going to have to be out there week 1 now, because they can't, like I said, they can't put him on IR.
Yeah. That's why I'm still taking me a lot of Samaje Perine, who I was going to take in this round, but then Andreas sniped me in advance on that. That's a good pick.
Actually, this is my reaction to them not putting Javonte on PUP. Well, I'm done drafting Samaje Perine now, because not that I think Javonte will be better than Perine, but because the fact that they didn't put Javonte on PUP makes me believe they're going to force Javonte out there for his 3 yards per carry, his 15 carries for 45 yards, for whatever, just like what Sean McVay was doing with Cam Akers. Go out there and run for 3.5 yards per carry 15 times. And it's like, okay, that just kills the value of all the running backs. And that's what I think they're going to do with Javonte now. They're going to run him out there 15 times for 3.2 yards per carry. He's going to get 50 yards. And then Piron's going to be an afterthought. So now I'm just kind of off the Broncos backfield. Even I really like Piron, but now I'm just kind of off it because I feel like they're just going to.
Well, no, I hear that. But to me, the opposite, because if they are throwing Javonte out there, I mean, look, I don't wish it, but there's a good chance he does get hurt again, or he's not effective, and Piron gets forced into, because Piron was never going to be a workhorse anyways, right?
No.
He's more of a pass catching guy. He's going to be in the mix. He might wind up being the more efficient of the two, but it shows they're not going to have anybody else that they're really going to bring in. They're not going to go out and get a Dalvin Cook or a Kareem Hunt, which seemed like they might do if Javonte wasn't ready for week 1. Well, now his only competition, Pirine, for touches, is going to be a probably not very effective Javonte Williams, who has a good chance of getting hurt. So they might have to rely on Pirine more than they initially thought. But I mean, look, and I'm talking Pirine. I'm getting him as my 4th running back, like late. That's it.
Yeah.
No. All right. So you're going to blame Nate for this. I was going to take my medicine and take Michael Thomas for being late, but I can't because Nate apparently is a believer.
Wow.
Nate's a believer. So now I got to go Dobbs.
What is that saying? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me like 4 years in a row. What is that one? What is that? What do we go with on that one?
Then just quit.
It's like, why are we doing? And then, okay, this is the part and that cracks me up when people say, well, it's one of my last picks. Like, oh yeah, let's just throw away one of your last picks for no reason. Like there's not guys here. Like, look, I get it. A lot of these picks in this range are going to bust and they're going to be bad. But there are guys like Jerome Ford who have potential upside if things break right.
And there goes Jerome Ford. I did have him in my queue. I mean, if you think about it, like if you had taken, I'm trying to think last year.
There, I got the Saints' actual number 2 wide receiver.
There you go. Nate's got some inside information saying MT, he's actually healthy now.
I'd feel better about that if it was September, but it's still only July. It's like Kadarius Toney. First day of training camp, returning a kick, tweaks his knee, has to have surgery on the knee. Like, how long are we giving Michael Thomas for? Like, Michael Thomas left practice early today with the trainers. Like, how many practices does he get in before we get that report?
I'm putting the under like 4 practice.
Michael Thomas seen walking off the field with trainers in practice today.
Don't be surprised. All right, final round here. Take your flyers, take your shots. Ooh, I like the Dulcich pick. I know Keith's a fan. I think he did like I did, got him in the fishbowl.
I'm really surprised that Zamir White's ADP hasn't just shot up.
I mean, I guess, we understand that Jacobs thing is dicey, but people really just don't know what to expect because we didn't see Zamir White at all last year. They just didn't put him on the field, and I don't know why. And so that's the one thing that worries me. I know he's a good runner. I know he's talented, and now he might have the opportunity. I just don't know if Josh McDaniels knows that. Like, if he actually trusts him, I don't know.
Who else are they going to use? That's the thing. But it's not like – I'm not saying – like, it's a fact that I get it. We don't know. Maybe Josh Jacobs will play, and then, of course, Zamir White's value is gone. But, like, we're in a point here where Josh Jacobs could hold out. And the only running backs on the roster is Amir White, Amir Abdullah, and Brandon Bolden. Like, if he can't beat those guys out, then he was never going to beat. It didn't even matter. Like he's not going to be good in the NFL.
Well,
So
yeah. No,
it's like, how are we not taking that chance? Again, I talked about it in maybe it was a video about James Conner and Le'Veon Bell. How, we didn't know anything about James Conner going into year 2. He barely saw the field because, of course, they had Le'Veon Bell. And people were like, nah, Le'Veon Bell will play. Le'Veon Bell will play. And nobody – I remember it was like a week before the season or a week and a half before the season, because I was doing a lot of best ball drafts back then. And James Conner wasn't even being drafted in best ball drafts. And then all of a sudden, like a week and a half before the season, when people started to realize, like, oh, Le'Veon Bell is really going to hold out, people started drafting him. And everybody who got him, like, in those last week and a half had these, like, monster teams, of course. It's like, how are you not at least taking the, like, at least his, like, he's like round 18 on underdog. Like, how is he not at least up to, like, round 16 or 15? We're talking about round 16 or 15 here. Like, you're not, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah. That's a lot of ticket, definitely worth investing in. No, I get it. I'm taking him if possible. Of course, I should have taken him the round before because you took him. But yeah, those are the guys. And this is what I'm saying. If you hit on Zamir White, like if Josh Jacobs does sit out, gets hurt, whatever, yeah, you're gonna wish you had that last round pick back that you picked Brett Favre or whatever as a joke. Like just I don't know. We were talking about Aaron Rodgers, so I thought about Brett Favre.
Okay. I was like, did somebody draft Brett Favre?
No, or Tom Brady. Well, Tom Brady, he'll come back and he'll play. Like, no, he won't. Okay. We're done. Tank Dell is Mr. Irrelevant for this one. We just had 3 Chiefs receivers in a row. Now, those are going to be some very common lotto tickets there. Yes. Who's the replacement for Kadarius Toney?
wait. Who's the replacement for 30% snap Kadarius Toney?
Yeah, exactly. The Chiefs wide receiver 1. Nobody. All right. Let's start with our breakdown. Those who are watching for the first time ever, first of all, thanks. Welcome. We're going to review each team, give our thoughts, and break down roster construction. Let's start with that kid king. Number 1 with Justin Jefferson. As predicted, Tony Pollard, Mahomes, Terry McLaurin, TJ Hawkinson, Brandon Cooks, Rachaad White, Charbonnet, Mingo Mitchell, Zay Jones, and Tank Dell.
Man, I don't think I can get behind Brandon Cooks in the 6th round.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this. I'm coming around on Brandon Cooks. I like him. I think it's a little early, but it's the same story for me. Getting that middle round Hawkinson or Kittle pick, it's just like it doesn't do it for me.
Yeah, that too. I mean, that doesn't really do it for me. I like the start. I think McLaurin's okay there. There might be some other guys I like more than him, but he's fine there. But I mean, I'm even kind of okay with Hawkinson. Like, I'd rather wait though and get like guys like Njoku, Freiermuth, Ingram, whatever. But Brandon Cooks, I mean, you got Dotson, even Pickens if that's your thing, Zay Flowers. I just feel like there's like I think Cooks will be okay. I think he'll just be okay. So, yeah, I think it's an okay team. I think there's a few picks I would have liked seeing a little different.
Yeah, I agree. And that's the thing is when you go early quarterback and early tight end, then your wide receivers aren't as strong. And again, if it's Kelsey or Andrews, I think that's okay. But I don't really feel like Hawkinson is a great replacement for a solid wide receiver 2 or 3. But I do like the Rachaad White pick. That's a good one. You did take some upside there. So overall, it's not bad. You Bogdan, who is in our Dynasty League. I believe. Our second Dynasty League. Jamar Chase, DK Metcalf. We spent enough time on him. Jalen Hurts, Aaron Jones, Dameon Pierce, Addison Dotson, Quentin Johnston, going very young at receiver there. And then Algier, Jamal Williams, OBJ, and Kincaid is the tight end.
Up to pick 10, I feel like he still thought it was our Dynasty League.
Like Dynasty mode.
Yeah, although he did take Aaron Jones. But yeah, we talked enough about the DK pick. Obviously, Hurts there is good. I also feel like that's way too early for Aaron Jones. I don't understand. Like, okay, I remember last year having so many arguments with people saying Aaron Jones, because look at Aaron Jones in the games without Devontae Adams. Oh my gosh, how good Aaron Jones was without Devontae Adams. Aaron Jones is going to win leagues. And then Aaron Jones didn't win leagues. He wasn't really any better without Devontae Adams. But now this year, now people are saying Aaron Jones is going to be a league winner because Aaron Rodgers is gone. Like, what? I don't get it at all. I think Aaron Jones will be okay. I think he'll be fine. But man, in the fourth round, I think that's way too soon for Aaron Rodgers. But I do like your next 5 picks there. I really like Addison, Dotson, and Johnston. I think that's great value for Johnston. I like Algier in the later rounds. I think Jamal's okay. I don't even mind. I really like the rest of your draft. It's just really the DK and the Aaron Jones picks that really are kind of head scratchers to me.
Yeah, and it's too early for Aaron Jones. I'm not out on Aaron Jones this year, but that's too soon. I don't want him as my RB1. So I like overall the talent you have at receiver. Whatever, it's redraft, not dynasty, but it's still good. You've got a lot of upside. It's just running back. Just running back is a thing for me. All right, then there's Nate, who the end of his draft didn't sit well with Keith, which let me pull that up. If you saw that comment.
I did. Right here.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
All right. So let's get to the good part here. Ty Hill, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs. Again, if Jacobs actually plays, that's good. Debo, Fields, Pittman, Mixon. And then here comes all you can eat. Darren Waller, Gabe Davis, Kadarius Toney, Michael Thomas, and Richie James. I think the best pick there might be the Richie James pick.
It's really those last 6 picks for me. I mean,
yeah, throw Mixon in there.
Yeah, and I get, okay, Henry Jacobs could end up being just a monster backfield, but it could also end up being no backfield. I mean, for real, like if Jacobs really does hold out and Henry does get hurt or break down this year, like your team is dead in the water. So I think I'd be okay with one of those guys. I don't know if I want both those guys in my backfield. I would have rather, either taken like Stevenson over Jacobs, which I'm really surprised as a Patriots fan, you're taking Jacobs over Stevenson, or Pollard over Henry. But that being said, if they play, this starting lineup could be an absolute monster. I mean, Henry and Jacobs, Hill, Debo, and Pittman, Fields, Waller, whatever. But man, the bench here it does make me feel like I had a Taco Bell buffet.
Hey, we got a believer. Brian says he thinks that's the best team.
Okay.
Hey, it could be. I mean, Henry Jacobs.
Yes, that could be.
It could be. Anything's possible. All right, and then Brian also with a comment, which I want to get back to because now we're going to talk again briefly about Bijan because this team, Team 4, King of the World with Bijan. Let's do this quickly. Okay, so Bijan, Brian's saying quick prediction.
I'll give you a realistic, not like, oh my gosh, stat line. 1,200 rushing yards. Let's say 70 catches for another 600 yards. 12 total touchdowns.
So that'd be pretty nice. 70 catches would be nice. And yeah, like you might say, you worry about the touchdowns, but again, this guy is going to be active on the ground and through the air. I was thinking 11 touchdowns. I think that's pretty good. I think that's pretty accurate.
That'd be 1,900 total yards, 70 catches, 12 touchdowns. I think, and that's, how many touchdowns did Algier have last year? 10?
Oh, that's the thing. Exactly. I mean, the opportunity is there. I get it, wanting Algier if you have. I don't think it's a must. You don't have to do it, but yeah, I get that. Yeah. All right, but let's go over this team. It has Bijan, so he's set, and then got Chubb, Amari Cooper, Brandon Ayuk, Jerry Jeudy, Sanders, JSN, Ingram, Tua, Kamara, Rashawn Johnson, and Rashee Rice. I mean, I love it. I don't love a couple of the picks, but I love it up until, well, I guess I don't like the last 3 picks, and I'm not in love with Jeudy. I know you're not either.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, this team, I like most of these picks. I think Judy at that spot as your wide receiver 3. Okay, that's fine. I don't love it, but it's fine. The only picks I really don't like are Kamara and Rice, but I mean, I don't want to say again, you don't want to just throw away picks. At least they kind of have potential, I guess. So I think I mostly like this team. I like most of these picks. Definitely like the starting lineup. Good team.
Yeah, I think very good. I mean, Nick Chubb might catch 70 passes this year. You never know. you don't know.
You know what's funny? People probably actually believe that Nick Chubb will catch more passes than Bijan Robinson, even though that's everything. Bijan has a lot of strengths, but yeah, people actually probably think that just because Kareem Hunt is gone, that Nick Chubb is going to suddenly catch 70.
There are definitely those who believe that, but we'll say that for another time. Let's get to Clayton's team. Went to Cup, Higgins, Ramondre, Burrow, Akers, Kittle. Let's see, Pickens, Dalvin Cook, Sky Moore, Kendry Miller, Mooney, and then Justin Ross. I do like that. That's a good last round pick.
Yeah, I mean, I like a lot of these picks. We got Stevenson back in the third just because they worked out Lenny. I think we got to feel pretty good that they worked out Lenny and then didn't sign him to a deal. I think if they liked what they saw, they probably would have just signed him to some kind of deal there. So Stevenson there feels great. Obviously Burrow, Akers, that's good. I think Kittle here is fine. I don't really like Pickens, but at this spot, I think it's worth the gamble there, and I like the bench. So yeah, I think I like all these picks, honestly.
Yeah, we'll say I would prefer again a wide receiver instead of the tight end Kittle there. Give me Addison or Dotson. But yeah, some really good picks here. Some good picks if you really want to know, Clayton, since you picked right before me. I actually would have taken Sky Moore there. So you sniped me, let's see, on that one. I probably would have taken Ramondre instead of Christian Watson. So really that pick is your fault. So there it is. But yeah, good job. All right, so here's my team. I went with CD, Devontae, Christian Watson, Kenny Walker, DeAndre Swift, Deontay Johnson, Dak, Joku, Shane, Bigsby, Dobbs, Chandler.
I mean, great 3 wide receivers there. I mean, Watson is your wide receiver 3. That's fantastic. Your running backs are solid. Obviously, going to depend a lot on Swift. If Swift at least gets enough of a role to be startable week in and week out, then this starting lineup will probably be very, very good. If not, then yeah, I mean, you're going to probably struggle at RB2, but we talked about it. That's not a bad place to be struggling. You got Dak, you got Njoku, you took shots on the bench. Another team where I can't argue with any of these picks, honestly.
Well, I'm not going to argue either because I made them. So I think that's pretty solid. I'm happy with it. I think it turned out, considering it's the 6th spot, this is probably one of my favorite teams from the middle. So, but I was up against Cool Ranch Doritos with Diggs, Olave, Calvin Ridley, Dobbins, Trevor Lawrence, Mike Williams, Madison Robinson, Muth. I feel like that's good value on Muth. Khalil Herbert, Jacoby Myers, and Chuba.
I mean, again, great start at wide receiver. I think Dobbins is your wide receiver, or your RB1 is fine. T-Lock, great. Grab Mike Williams. Now you have 4 awesome wide receivers. I think with Madison, Brian Robinson, you should be okay at RB2. I like the Muth pick. I like those last 3 picks. Again, no picks I really don't like here.
Yeah, this is a really good team, actually. I have no complaints here whatsoever. Got some good value. Madison is, not for sure, but I think where you got him is fine. Robinson could take his place. I think that's pretty good.
I think we finally made it.
All right.
Finally have made the big time. We got somebody watching from the toilet. We have finally made it.
That means we're must-see YT, YouTube.
Yeah.
Must-see. All right. Speaking of you don't see Russell Wilson. That's not it's not a mistake. Russell Wilson not drafted in most of our drafts. In fact, hardly ever. If it's not a super flex.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's go on to team number 8. That's NMB. Kelsey, Waddle, Brees, Keenan, and Herbert for the stack there. James Conner's the RB2, Burks and Sutton, Penny Collins, Jerome Ford, and Izzy.
Izzy, all right. Well, I like it. I mean, look, Izzy. There's a path for Izzy. I mean, if Brees isn't ready week 1, like, are we really thinking Michael Carter's going to be the guy or Bam Knight? Probably not. But anyways, I mean, you got Waddle and Keenan at wide receiver. That's good. You got Kelsey. You got Herbert. That's good. Brees. I mean, I guess you did back up Brees with Izzy. I'm still a little worried about Brees early in the year. I like I said this on one of the drafts last week. I'm terrified if Brees is my RB1. So I probably would have gone, like, I like Connor, but I probably would have started stacking some RBs in here somewhere that I felt pretty good about early in the season in case Brees isn't ready. It's not like I don't like any of the picks. I think there's a lot of good picks here. But I think just with Brees, when Brees is your RB1, I'd like to stack some more, like Connors, Brian Robinsons, Madisons, whatever. Guys you could feel at least halfway decent about early in the year.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not taking Brees as my RB1, so I would have just gone another wide receiver there, and then you can take Dobbins or hope somebody falls on the way back, which is, that's how I did it. But, maybe Brees will be the man. We'll see. But overall, you're solid at every position. Yeah, I like a lot of these late round picks. Nico, Jerome Ford, even Sutton. And we talk about this because it's like Judy. Why are we taking Judy so high? But Sutton shouldn't be that much lower. I almost feel like he's a decent value.
I know people act like Judy is so much better than Sutton in fantasy in real life, and really they're just both not that great.
Yeah. All right. But if you're going to take a chance, I'd rather do it in round 8 than round 5. But all right, here's your team. You went with CMC. Don't recall you taking him too much in the first round. Is this the first time you've taken him?
It probably is because he doesn't generally fall this far. And when I draft early, I'm going one of the wide receivers. So yeah, I was more than happy to take him at the 9.
All right. Well, there you go. CMC had no complaints there. Take him at the 9, and then got Garrett Wilson on the way back. I know that made you happy. And then DJ Moore, Mark Andrews, Hollywood, and Kirk. That also made you happy. Gibby is your RB2, or it could be James Cook or Damian Harris. You took Anthony Richardson as a quarterback, and of course, you got Zamir White and Rashid Shaheed. I'm on board with that. So, I mean, you're basically playing the anchor RB game. You want either Cook or Gibson to be reliable enough to start. I think they will be, because both of those guys are pass catching running backs. And so at least they have the floor to support, what at this point would be your weakest position, but that's because you have a stud tight end, you have stud receivers, you have CMC. So obviously the gamble you took was on Anthony Richardson, but yeah, it's fine. Because look, honestly, you were the last person to take a quarterback, right? Am I right there?
Yes, I was the last one. But I always normally I would wait till the last round, but I always worry that somebody else is going to take not picking on anybody here. I'll say Keith, even though I know Keith would never do this. But somebody's going to be like, well, I have Lamar Jackson, so let me grab Anthony Richardson in round 10 or something. So I grab him a little earlier than I want. But I really like this team. Look, when Josh Jacobs holds it out, I'm going to have a bell cow back as my RB2 and Zamir White, and then this team's really going to be a monster.
Hey, that's definitely, like, I'm a little tilted that you took Zamir White. I guess I waited. I should have taken him. So I'm on board with that. But yeah, no, it's a good team. The worst thing I was going to say, it's a single quarterback league. If Richardson bombs or tanks for whatever reason, he's just not good enough, you drop him and you pick up Kirk Cousins and you're fine.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
Or Jordan Love, because I hear he's going to pass the ball a lot this year. Let's go to Keith's team. Here's the whole team. We've talked about some of his players, but he got Eckler and Najee with Sun God in round 2, Lamar in round 4, Godwin, Lockett, Flowers, Monty went Javonte, and Jameson Williams, throwing me off here, 2J Williams, Chase Brown, and Dulcich. And we know there's a lot of players because Keith drops a team in the chat, and he's drafted the Scott Fishbowl. I know his roster there. We have a lot of players in similar that we are all over. Lamar could be a stud this year. Dulcich, I know we like that pick. Sun God. Do you think the running backs are good enough to make this a championship team?
Potentially, yes. I mean, if Eckler, is great again this year, I think Najee will at least be solid. I think he'll be solid. Um, for me, it's more like the wide receiver 2 flex. Is there enough upside at wide receiver on a week to week basis? I feel like I mean, obviously Lockett, we know what he can do. And I do think Flowers will have some upside, but I think like St. Brown and Godwin are more like, I mean, St. Brown does have some weekly upside, when he scores touchdowns, but I feel like they're more like floor wide receivers. I'm actually kind of surprised. I didn't know Keith was so high on St. Brown. Maybe I guess he must have saw that tweet where he caught 201 straight balls from the jug machine and
Exactly.
six touchdowns against air, and he's steaming him up. I'm surprised he's that high. I didn't know he was high on St. Brown, but certainly I think like with those running backs with Lamar, he sniped me on Lamar, so I had to settle for Andrews. Definitely this team could definitely contend.
Yeah, I think he's a little higher on Godwin generally than we are, and I think Godwin's fine. But like you said, I think this year more of a floor play.
Exactly.
But not bad. All right, and then Andrea went with AJ Brown, Jonathan Taylor, Drake London, Jameer Gibbs. It's a good start. Watson and Goddard. And then, so basically locked down her whole starting lineup right away. Mike Evans, AJ Dillon, Rondell Moore, P. Ryan, Van Jefferson, and Isaiah Hodgins.
Yeah, again, I guess Evans though. Evans might be I did feel like that was early for Watson when I saw him pick, but I do like him this year. I think he'll be good. So, but I did feel like it was a little early. I like most of these picks. Evans might be the one. I mean, maybe he's okay there, I guess. I don't know what other wide receivers I would go with necessarily. Maybe another running back there. But mostly I like this team. I love that Van Jefferson pick. I'm probably getting too high on Van Jefferson, ready to be let down. But I think it's a good team. I like most of the picks.
Yeah. I mean, look, a lot of it depends on Gibbs. Gibbs comes through. You're really good at running back. You're really solid at receiver. And again, I like beating the dead horse, but I think I like Goddard. Look, I think Goddard is a good tight end. He's solid. He could be a top 5 tight end. But I would have rather taken Christian Kirk when he was there. Maybe Mike Williams, you prefer him. And then just get a different tight end a little bit later instead of Evans. So otherwise, really good. I think a good team also, definitely a contender. And then Brian went Barkley in the first round, not scared there, or Devontae Adams, Josh Allen, Etienne, Hopkins, Pitts, Pacheco, Elijah Moore, Bateman, Juju, Jalen Warren, and Tyjae Spears.
Yeah, I mean, well, we already talked about Barkley. I'd prefer JT, but I mean, it's like for me, JT's 4, Barkley's 5. So whatever. If you prefer Barkley, I think it
doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's fine there. I do think there are some receivers I like better than. Well, I don't think. I know there are some receivers I like better than Adams. I know Adams is still a great player, but I'm a little nervous with Jimmy G. Maybe he'll still be great. If he is, that could be fine. Josh Allen there, I think, is great. I mean, when you got Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts going at the start of the third, and you get Josh Allen at the end of the third, that's good. I think Travis Etienne there is fantastic. Hopkins there feels fine. And then I know he said Kirk over Pitts. Yeah, I would have, even though I do really like Pitts, I would have preferred Kirk, get that high upside flex, because you still could have gotten guys like Njoku, Ingram, Waller, if that's your thing, Freiermuth later on. And then, yeah, like when we look at the late rounds, I mean, just Juju's the only pick. Like, I'm just not drafting Juju ever. He couldn't do it in KC. I don't see how he does it in New England. But, I mean, I don't think the team is, like, as bad as you think. I think it's still a strong team. If you got Barkley and Etienne, so you're still strong at running back. If Adams is elite and Hopkins is at least decent, you're good at wide receiver. You got Josh Allen. You got Kyle Pitts. But, yeah, just maybe a couple picks I would have changed, done a little different.
Yeah, the dart throws, of course. That's what you do at the end. I will just say the second half, really my issue is not the beginning. Barkley, like I know I said I'd rather have JT, but I have no problem taking Barkley as your first running back. And even though, no, I wouldn't take Devontae over Garrett Wilson or Sun God, but I don't think that's hurting. I mean, I'm not going going to complain about Devontae Adams. The end of the draft, the second half of the draft, I do think you have probably 3 of those last 6 picks are on my do not draft list. So those are guys I'm not taking. I like Elijah Moore. I don't like a lot of the others. Pitts is fine. I think the Pitts pick is fine. I don't want DeAndre Hopkins as my wide receiver 2. And honestly, I don't think I have Josh Allen as the top 5 quarterback this year.
Ooh, spicy.
I'm pushing him down. I'm taking, obviously, Mahomes and Hurts. I'm taking Lamar over him. I might have Fields over him. Burrow, I don't know. It's close. Anyways.
All right. A little spiciness to end the day.
But besides that, you do have some good picks. I think you got a lot of talent on your team, so you never know. All right, guys. That's it. We're done. This is tonight's draft. We'll be back for more. Don't forget, you want to join the draft just like they did before we go live, you can do that getting in the Discord where we drop that mock draft link. And that is on flockfantasy.com/endgame. If you sign up and become a member, you see all that good stuff you get, plus the chance to not only join us in our mocks, but in the real actual thing. We're going to have some endgame leagues forming, redraft leagues. We already did Dynasty, and now we're going to do for the real season this season. You can join us right there. So if you haven't checked it out yet, do it now, flockfantasy.com/endgame. And we will see y'all next time.